Hi students, today I am going to deal with the topic IR spectrophotometer. IR spectrophotometer, infrared spectrophotometer. Learning objective. Upon completion of this presentation, you will be able to understand what is infrared spectroscopy, what is an infrared spectrophotometer, the components of infrared spectrophotometer, the construction of an infrared spectrophotometer, working principle of infrared spectrophotometer, and the applications. Upon completion of this presentation, you will be able to understand what is infrared spectroscopy, what is infrared spectrophotometer, what are the components of infrared spectrophotometer, what is its construction, and what is the working principle and applications of infrared spectrophotometer. Spectroscopy is the measurement and interpretation of electromagnetic radiation absorbed or emitted when the molecules or atoms or ions of a sample move from one energy state to another energy state. Spectroscopy is the measurement and interpretation of electromagnetic radiation which is absorbed or emitted when the molecules or atoms or ions of a sample move from one energy state to another energy state. IR spectroscopy. Infrared spectroscopy. Infrared spectroscopy is the study of interaction between infrared radiation and matter. Infrared radiation is a part of the electromagnetic spectrum. So when the IR radiation interacts with matter, that study is called IR spectroscopy. Infrared radiation refers broadly to that part of the electromagnetic spectrum between the visible and the microwave region. Between the visible and the microwave region. It is the part of the electromagnetic spectrum between the visible and the microwave region. So, when we see the spectrum of infrared radiation, the electromagnetic spectrum, it forms a part of the electromagnetic spectrum, and its wavelength ranges from 0.76 microns to 1000 microns. It is in between the ultraviolet radiation and the infrared radiation is in between the IR radiation and the microwaves. It is in between the IR radiation and the between the visible radiation, it is in between the visible radiation and the microwaves. It is in between the visible radiation and the microwaves. It forms a part of the electromagnetic spectrum whose wavelength varies from 0.76 microns to 1000 microns. This infrared radiation is divided into three regions: the near infrared region, the middle infrared region, and the far infrared region. The near infrared region, the middle infrared region, and the far infrared region. The near infrared region is between 0.76 to 1.5. It is between 0.76 to 1.5 microns. And the middle infrared region is between 1.5 to 5.6 microns. And the far infrared region is between 5.6 to 1000 microns. Between 5.6 to 1000 microns. Infrared spectroscopy is the measurement of wavelength and intensity of the absorption. It is the measurement of wavelength and intensity of the absorption of mid-infrared light by the sample. Mid-infrared is between 1.5 to 5.6 microns. Mostly it is in this region, 1.5 to 5.6. So, infrared spectroscopy is the measurement of wavelength and intensity of the absorption of mid-infrared light by a sample. Mid-infrared is energetic enough. This radiation in infrared region is energetic enough to excite molecular vibration to higher energy levels. The wavelength of the infrared absorption bands are characteristics of specific types of chemical bonds, and infrared spectroscopy finds its greatest utility for identification of organic and organometallic molecules. So this is very useful in finding the identification of organic and organometallic molecules. The high selectivity of the method makes the estimation of an analyte in a complex matrix possible. So it has very high selectivity. So this method involves examination of twisting, bending, rotating and vibrational motions of atoms in a molecule. Vibrational motion of atoms in a molecule. Infrared spectrometry instrumentation. In infrared spectrometry, it is an instrument that passes infrared light through an organic molecule and produces a spectrum. When infrared light is made to fall on a molecule present in a sample, it produces a spectrum that contains a plot of amount of light transmitted when it is taken on the y-axis or the vertical axis against wavelength of the infrared radiation on the horizontal axis. When we plot that spectrum, you are going to identify the molecule that is present in the sample. In infrared spectra, the absorption peaks point downwards because the vertical axis is percentage transmittance. We are taking the vertical axis as percentage transmittance of the radiation through the sample. Absorption of radiation lowers the percentage transmittance value as it is inversely proportional to the logarithm of the concentration. So you will be getting the peaks inverted. Since all bonds in an organic molecule interacts with infrared radiation, IR spectra provides a considerable amount of structural data. It provides a considerable amount of structural data. Then types of IR measuring instruments, types of infrared measuring instruments. There are 4 types of instruments for infrared absorption measurement. There are 4 types of instruments which are used for infrared absorption measurement, which are available in the in spectroscopic analysis. We have the dispersive grating spectrophotometers for qualitative measurement, and non-dispersive photometers for quantitative determination of organic species in the atmosphere. So we have 4 types of instruments: the dispersive instruments, non-dispersive, then we have reflectance photometers and Fourier transform infrared instruments. FTIR they are called, Fourier transform infrared instruments. So there are 4 types of infrared absorption measurement systems or instruments. They are dispersive grating spectrometers for qualitative measurement, non-dispersive photometers for quantitative determination of organic species in the atmosphere, then reflectance photometers for analysis of solids, and Fourier transform infrared instruments FTIR for both qualitative and quantitative measurements. So this is the schematic diagram or the instrumentation diagram of a spectrophotometer, IR spectrophotometer. So the source of IR radiation, you have the source of the IR radiation which forms the first component of your spectrophotometer. Then we have the wave separator, then frequency selector or wave selector it is also called as. That is nothing but your monochromator. Wave separator is the collimating system which you most commonly used term in any block diagram of spectrophotometer. Then you have the reference detectors, and this radiation from the frequency selector, it is passed on to the sample. The radiation after absorption by the sample, it is transmitted out, and the transmitted radiation is made to fall onto the detector. It is unabsorbed photon counter is used. So this is the instrumentation of IR spectrophotometer. Then the components of IR spectrophotometers. Components of infrared spectrophotometers are IR radiation source, infrared radiation source. Then the second one is the wavelength selector. The wavelength selector is nothing but your monochromator. The third is your sample holder or the sample cell, where the sample is held or the sample is contained. Then the fourth one is your detector, and the fifth one is your recorder. So the components of IR spectrophotometers are infrared radiation source, wavelength selector, which is the monochromator, sample holder or cell, your detector and the recorder. Your detector and the recorder. Infrared light sources. There are different wide varieties of infrared light sources. So instruments for measuring infrared absorption all require a source of continuous infrared radiation, and a sensitive infrared transducer or detector is used. Okay, you need a source of continuous infrared radiation. The source must produce continuous infrared radiation. Infrared sources consist of an inert solid that is electrically heated to a temperature between 1500 degree Kelvin to 2200 degree Kelvin. The heated element or material will then emit infrared radiation. So when an inert solid is electrically heated to a very high temperature of 1500 degree centigrade to 1500 degree Kelvin to 2200 degree Kelvin, the heated material will begin to emit infrared radiation. So when inert solid that is electrically heated to a high temperature of 1500 degree Kelvin to 2200 degree Kelvin, the heated material will then emit infrared radiation. There is one more component, one more light source called Nernst glower. Nernst glower is composed of a rare earth oxide formed into a cylinder having a diameter of about 1 to 2 mm and a length of about 20 mm. Platinum leads are sealed to the ends of the cylinder to permit electrical connection to what amounts to a resistive heating element. So you have the filament inside an evacuated chamber, a glass tube. The Nernst glower is composed of a rare earth oxide formed into a cylinder. You are going to use a rare earth oxide to form the cylinder, and the diameter of the cylinder is about 1 to 2 mm and a length of about 20 mm, and platinum leads are used platinum leads are sealed to the ends of the cylinder to permit electrical connection to what amount to a resistive heating element. A current is passed through the device when heated to a temperature between 1200 degree Kelvin to 2200 degree Kelvin, and this results in IR emission. When a high temperature of 1200 degree Kelvin to 2200 degree Kelvin is passed to this resistive element that begins to emit infrared radiation, it results in IR emission. This is an Nernst glower. The next one is your Globar source. A Globar source is a silicon carbide rod. Its length of the cylinder is about 50 mm and diameter is 5 mm. It has positive temperature coefficient of electrical resistance, and at low temperature they provide low resistance to flow current, and as the cylinder gets heated, resistance increases, allowing conduction of the current. To avoid excessive heating, water cooling is necessary. At high temperature source emits IR radiation. So a Globar source is nothing but a silicon carbide rod which is cylindrical in shape, and its length is 50 mm and diameter is 5 mm. It has positive temperature coefficient of electrical resistance. At low temperature, they provide low resistance to flow current, and as cylinder gets heated, resistance increases, allowing conduction of the current. To avoid excessive heating, water cooling is necessary. At high temperature source emits IR radiation. The source emits IR radiation. Then the next light source is the carbon dioxide laser. The carbon dioxide laser source is a tunable carbon dioxide laser, is used as an infrared source for monitoring the concentration of certain atmospheric pollutants and for determining absorbing species in aqueous solutions. A carbon dioxide laser produces a band of radiation in the range of 900 to 11,000 per centimeter range. So this is the band of the radiation where carbon dioxide laser sources produce. Then the other type of infrared light sources are incandescent wire source. Incandescent wire source, that is nichrome wire. A source of somewhat lower intensity but longer life than the Globar or Nernst glower is a tightly wound spiral of nichrome wire. It is an alloy of nickel and chromium which is heated to about 1100 degree Kelvin by an electric current. This is having somewhat lower intensity but longer life when compared to the Globar and Nernst glowers. Then we have the mercury arc. For the far infrared region of the spectrum, that is lambda greater than 50 micrometers, none of the thermal sources which are discussed, just described, provide sufficient radiant power for convenient detection. Here, so we make use of mercury arc. Here, a high pressure mercury arc is used. This device consists of a quartz jacketed tube containing mercury vapor at a pressure greater than 1 atmosphere. Passage of electricity through the vapor forms an internal plasma source that provides continuum radiation in the far infrared region. There is one more type of infrared light source called mercury arc source. It is for the far infrared region we are going to use this mercury arc source. None of the thermal sources which we have discussed earlier, like the Globar or the Nernst or the incandescent wire sources, they does not produce sufficient radiant power for convenient detection of the radiation. Hence, a high pressure mercury arc is used. This device consists of quartz jacketed tube containing mercury vapor at a pressure greater than 1 atmosphere. Passage of electricity through the vapor forms an internal plasma source that provides continuum radiation in the far infrared region. Tungsten filament lamp. An ordinary tungsten filament lamp is convenient source for near infrared region of 4000 to 12,800 per centimeter. Tungsten filament lamps are also sometimes used. For ordinary, it is an ordinary filament and it is used in the near infrared region. The next component of your instrumentation of IR spectrometer is, the first one is your light source, the second one is your wavelength selector. The wavelength selectors are of two types. They may be filters or monochromators. Filters are sheets of plastic or glass that simply absorb wavelength other than those required for the analysis. They absorb the wavelength. Filters, as you know the meaning, they remove the unwanted signals, remove the unwanted wavelengths of radiation. So the unwanted wavelengths of radiation can be removed by using filters which are made of plastic or glass. They simply absorb wavelengths other than those required for the analysis. Generally, the range of wavelength allowed by a filter is relatively wide. The second type of wavelength selectors are monochromators. They comprise a series of optics inside a light-proof box which has an entry and an exit slit, which allows the radiation of all wavelengths in a narrow range of wavelengths out. The components of a monochromator are entrance slit. Monochromator allows all radiations and it gives a radiation of specific wavelength. So the components of the monochromators are entrance slit, collimating lens or mirror, the dispersing element, which may be either a prism or a grating. Then we have the focusing lens or the mirror, and the exit slit output from a wavelength selector is a band of wavelength. The exit slit, you have a exit slit. Then these are the optical components which are used in spectroscopy. The monochromators, we have two types, as I told you. We have the prism type of monochromator and diffraction grating type of monochromator. The two types of monochromators, we use either the prism or the grating. The prism or the grating. So grating is a device which consists of series of parallel and closely spaced grooves. Series of parallel and closely spaced grooves. Rules on glass or any reflecting material. Which rules on glass or any reflecting material? It rules on glass or any reflecting material. Gratings are of two types. The gratings are of two types. They are transmission gratings and reflection gratings. IR infrared gratings have 10 to 100 grooves per mm. This is the range of the grooves depending upon the type of radiation. Like if it is visible, we have different set of grooves. If it is infrared gratings, we have 10 to 100 grooves per mm. These gratings, they have the grooves over them which are separated equally closely spaced grooves on glass or any reflecting surface. The material used for construction of the grating are quartz or sodium chloride or potassium bromide. Quartz or sodium chloride or potassium bromide. So materials that are used for construction are quartz or sodium chloride or potassium bromide. These are the materials used for the grating. The next one is your sample container or the sample cell. The next component of your instrumentation of spectrophotometer is your sample container or sample cell. So handling of samples in IR. How do you handle the samples in infrared spectroscopy? Sampling techniques in IR depend on whether the sample is a gas or a liquid or a solid. It depends upon the type of the sample. If it is a gas sample, you use a different sample container. If it is a liquid, we use a different sampling technique. If it is a solid, a different sampling technique. If the sample is a gas, you use a gas cell. Infrared transparent windows allow the cell to be mounted directly. Internal mirrors are used which permit the beam to be reflected several times through the sample to increase the sensitivity. In vapor phase, rotational changes in the molecule occurs freely, and these low frequency processes can modulate the high energy vibrational bands gas cells. So we are using gas cells which contains infrared transparent windows which allows the cell to be mounted directly. Internal mirrors are used to permit the beam to be reflected several times through the sample to increase the sensitivity. Then the liquids, when the sample is a liquid, it consists of a sampling liquid as a thin film squeezed between two infrared transparent windows like sodium chloride flats. So you are going to use two windows, and the liquid, if it is the sample is a liquid, that liquid is placed as a thin film between the two windows. The salt plates or rock salt flats must be optically polished and cleaned immediately after use. After using these plates or windows, they must be thoroughly cleansed and polished after usage. Toluene or chloroform are used to clean the transparent windows, the two infrared transparent windows. They should be dry and handled only by their edges. So we are using thin films. We are using thin film transparent windows like sodium chloride flats, they are called, and after usage they are thoroughly clean. The next one is your solid samples. Solid samples are made of potassium bromide discs. potassium bromide discs. It is prepared by grinding the sample with potassium bromide and compressing the whole into a transparent water or disc, wafer or disc, in a transparent wafer or a disc. So sodium solid samples, it is prepared by grinding the sample with potassium bromide or compressed with whole compressing the whole into a transparent wafer or a disc. Potassium bromide must be dry and hence grinding is carried out under infrared lamp to avoid condensation of the atmospheric moisture, which gives rise to broad absorptions. Grinding is done in a gate, mortar, pestle or commercial ball mills. Purely ground mixture lead to discs that scatter light, then they transmit. Practical size of 2 micrometers must be achieved to avoid scattering. So depending upon the nature of the sample, we are going to use the sampling technique. Then coming to the next stage is your detectors. Detectors used in infrared spectroscopy are, we are mostly thermal radiation energy, thermal detectors and quantum detectors. The thermal radiant energy is being converted into electrical energy. The thermal radiant energy is being converted into electrical energy. In the thermal detectors, we have the examples are thermocouples, thermopiles, bolometers, pneumatic detectors, then pyroelectric detectors. And the second classification is the quantum detectors. Examples are intrinsic type solid state photo detectors, extrinsic type photoconductive cells. So these are the two types of detectors, the thermal detectors and your quantum detectors. What are the features of the thermal detector, solid state detectors? Features of thermal detectors and quantum detectors. There are two types of detectors which are used, as I told you, thermal detectors and quantum detectors. In the features of the thermal detectors are responsivity with little dependence on wavelength. Their responsivity is dependent on wavelength. Whereas thermal detectors operate at room temperature, quantum detectors cooling is normally used. The thermal detectors have very slow response and slow detectivity. Quantum detectors have fast response and high detectivity. They have fast response and high detectivity. So thermal detectors responsivity with little dependence on wavelength, whereas quantum detectors responsivity is wavelength dependent. These operate, thermal detectors operate at room temperature, quantum detectors cooling is normally used. Thermal detectors have slow response and low detectivity, whereas quantum detectors have fast response and high detectivity. Coming to the quantum detectors, solid state detectors and photoconductive cells. Solid state detectors work on the principle of photoelectric effect, and they are made of materials cadmium mercury telluride, CMT it is called, cadmium mercury telluride, or indium antimonide, INSB, indium antimonide, and its sensitivity is 2 to 6 microns for indium antimonide, and sensitivity for cadmium mercury telluride it is 10 to 12 microns. So these are the advantages of solid state photodetectors. They work on the principle of photoelectric effect. They are made of materials like cadmium mercury telluride or indium antimonide, and sensitivity is 2 to 6 microns micrometers, that is for indium's antimonide, and for CMT it is 10 to 12. When we come to the case of photoconductive cells, the principle is electrical resistors. These are electrical resistors which decrease in resistance in relation to the intensity of the light striking their surface. When light strikes on the surface of these materials, based on the intensity of the radiation, there is a decrease in the resistance. So materials are semiconductors like lead sulfide and lead telluride. They are used for photoconductive cells. Then the sensitivity is 3 to 5 3.5 microns for lead sulfide and 6 microns for lead telluride. Then when we come to the case of thermal detectors, the thermal detectors examples are thermocouples. Thermocouples work on the principle, as you already know. Thermocouples consist of pair of junctions formed when two or more dissimilar metals like bismuth and antimony are fused together at their ends to form two dissimilar materials. So when they are formed with two dissimilar materials and one junction is maintained as cold junction, which is the reference junction and kept at a specific temperature or constant temperature, and this junction when it is not exposed to IR radiation. The other junction is the hot junction exposed to IR radiation, which increases with temperature of the junction. The temperature difference due to the falling IR radiation generates a potential difference across the junction, which amounts to the intensity of the IR radiation falling on the first hot junction. Hot junction is generally blackened to improve its heat absorbing capacity. So thermocouple in this detectors, the signal originates from the potential difference caused by heating a junction of unlike metals by infrared beam, while the other junction is kept at a constant temperature. So this is a thermocouple detector. Then thermal detectors are, the second one is the bolometer. Bolometer is a type of resistance thermometer constructed from strips of metals such as platinum or nickel, or from semiconductors. They show a relatively large change in resistance as a function of temperature. It forms one arm of the Wheatstone bridge, and a similar strip is used as a balancing arm which is not exposed to the falling infrared radiation. If the IR radiation falls on the bridge, becomes unbalanced due to the change in the resistance occurred due to change in temperature. This causes the current to flow, which is a measure of intensity of the infrared radiation. So bolometers, they provide an electrical signal as a result of variation in the resistance of the conductor with temperature. When the temperature changes, the resistance of the conductor changes. So this is the principle of a bolometer, which is used as a thermal detector. The next one is your Gauly cells. They are sensitive gas thermometers. Xenon gas is contained in a small cylindrical chamber which contains a blackened membrane on one side, while other side has a flexible diaphragm silvered outside. A beam of light, when it is reflected from the silvered surface to the cathode at a beam of light is reflected from the silvered surface to the cathode at vacuum phototube. When IR radiation falls on the blackened membrane, it is heated, which in turn heats xenon gas by conduction, resulting in the increase of pressure, causes distortion of silvered diaphragm. As a result, the fraction of the reflected light which strikes the active surface of the phototube is changed, leading to the change in the photocurrent. This is related to the falling infrared radiation. This is about your Gauly cells. Then next we have the pyrodetectors. The pyrodetectors are constructed from single crystalline wafer of polyelectric material, which are dielectric materials which have specific thermal and electrical properties. Examples are deuterated triglycerine sulfate. When an electric field is applied across any dielectric material, electrical polarization takes place. The magnitude of the polarization is a function of dielectric constant of that material. This pyroelectric crystal is sandwiched between two electrodes which are IR transparent. The pyroelectric crystals act as temperature dependent capacitors. When IR radiation falls, there is a change in the temperature which alters the change in the charge distribution across the crystal, which can be detected as a current in an external circuit connecting two sides of a capacitor. Magnitude of the current is directly proportional to the surface area of the crystal and rate of polarization, change of polarization with temperature. Rate of change of polarization with temperature. Then coming to the last type of thermal detectors is the photoconducting detectors. These consist of a thin film of semiconductor material such as lead sulfide or mercuric cadmium telluride or indium antimonide deposited on non-conducting glass surface and sealed into an evacuated envelope to protect semiconductor from atmosphere. Absorption of radiation by these materials promote non-conducting valency electrons to a higher energy conducting state, thus decreasing electrical resistance of the semiconductor. Thus decreasing the electrical resistance of the semiconductor. The IR spectrophotometer consists of the following elements. So, once again, we are going to deal with the elements of the IR spectrophotometer. The IR spectrophotometer consists of the following elements. The first one is the radiation source. The infrared radiation, which extends from 0.8 to 200 micrometers. The source of the radiation in infrared spectrophotometer is ideally a black body radiator. We are going to use a black body radiator which radiates electromagnetic radiation in the infrared region. The energy emitted by a black body radiator varies with wavelength and with temperature. The common practical infrared sources are the Globar rod, Nernst filament and nichrome wire. So these are the common practically used infrared sources. Then we have the monochromators. The monochromators are nothing but the prism or the gratings are used as monochromators for infrared regions. For high resolution prisms made of silicon dioxide, sodium chloride and potassium bromide are used. For high resolution prisms are made of silicon dioxide, sodium chloride and potassium bromide are used. Then the next part is your entrance slit and the exit slit. Entrance and the exit slits are used to produce narrow bandwidth with a better spectral definition. Then the detectors. The detectors used in infrared spectrophotometers usually convert the thermal radiant energy into electrical energy. They are used to convert the thermal radiant energy into electrical energy. The detectors which are commonly used are thermocouples, bolometers or Gauge cells. Thermocouples, bolometers or Gauge cells. These are used as the detectors. Then this is the diagram of an infrared spectrophotometer where you have the IR radiation source, then we have the mirror system, then we have the sample compartment containing the reference chamber and the sample chamber we have, and then we have a chopper, and from the chopper it goes to the monochromator, from the monochromator to the IR detector. Monochromator and the IR detector. So the working of your infrared spectrophotometer. When a beam of infrared radiation produced by the IR light source, when it is passed through an interferometer and then it is split up into two beams. It is split up into two separate beams. One is passed through the sample and the other one is passed through a reference. One is passed through the sample and other one is passed through a reference. The beams are both reflected back towards a detector. However, first they pass through a chopper which quickly alternates which of the two beams enters the detector, which converts the change in the incoming infrared light to electrical energy. The signals are then compared and a printout is obtained. This two beam setup gives accurate spectra even if the intensity of the light source drifts over time. Different molecules with different combinations of atoms produce their unique spectra and hence are used to quantitatively identify the substances. They are used to quantitatively identify the substances. So when a beam of infrared light produced by the IR light source, when it is passed through an interferometer and then split into two separate beams, one beam is passed to the sample and another through the reference. When they pass through a chopper which quickly alternates which of the two beams enters the detector, which converts a change in the incoming infrared light to electrical energy. The two signals are then compared and a printout is obtained. The two beams set up gives accurate spectra even if the intensity of the light source drifts over time. Different molecules with different combination of atoms produce their unique spectra and hence are used to qualitatively identify the substances. So, coming to the applications of infrared spectrophotometer. Infrared spectrophotometers are used to determine the impurities in raw materials. That is, they are used to ensure the quality of the product. Impurities in the raw materials. They are used for determination of unknown contaminants in industry. Then for analyzing alcohols, drugs, paints and fibers. They are used for identifying the odor and taste components of food. They are used for determination of atmospheric pollutants from atmosphere itself. And infrared spectrophotometers are used in biomedical studies of human hair to identify disease states. Okay. So, infrared spectrophotometers are used to determine the impurities present in the raw materials to ensure the quality of the products. They are used for determination of unknown contaminants in industry. They are used for analyzing alcohol, drugs, paints and fibers. They are used to identify odor and taste components of foods. They are used to determine the atmospheric pollutants from atmosphere itself. They are used for biomedical studies of human hair to identify disease states. So these are the various application areas of IR spectrophotometer. So I would like to summarize my presentation of infrared spectrophotometers. The infrared spectrophotometer consists of the following components. What are they? The components are the IR radiation source. We have the wavelength selector, the monochromator, it may be either a prism or a grating, the sample holder or the sample cell, then we have the detectors and the recorders. The infrared radiation source consists of an inert solid when it is heated electrically to a very high temperature of 1500 degree Kelvin to 2200 degree Kelvin. The material begins to emit infrared radiation. Among the various radiation sources, there are several sources like the earnest glower, which emits radiation when it is heated to a temperature of 1200 to 2200 degree Kelvin. Then we have the Globar source, which is nothing but a silicon carbide rod whose length is of 50 mm and diameter is 5 mm, and it is having positive temperature coefficient of resistance, and it emits infrared radiation when it is heated to very high temperature. Then we have carbon dioxide lasers. They produce band of radiation in 900 to 1100 centimeters inverse. Then we have these carbon dioxide lasers are used for monitoring the concentration of certain atmospheric pollutants and for determining absorbing species in aqueous solutions. Then we have incandescent wire sources, that is the nichrome wire sources. They have lower intensity but longer life compared to Globar and earnest glowers. And nichrome wires, when they are heated to 1100 degree Kelvin, they produce infrared radiation. Then we have the other one, the mercury arc lamps, where they produce in the far infrared regions. They are nothing but made of quartz and filled with These consists of the mercury arc is used inside this. High pressure mercuric arc is used. These devices consist of jacketed tube containing mercury vapor at pressure greater than 1 atmosphere. Then we have the tungsten filaments which work well in the near infrared region of 4000 to 12,800 centimeters inverse. Then we have the wavelength selectors. The wavelength selectors are filters and monochromators. Filters are nothing but sheets of plastic or glass which simply absorb the wavelengths other than those required for the analysis. Then we have monochromators, diffraction grating monochromators and prism grating monochromators. Grating monochromators are of two types, the reflection type and the transmission type. These gratings consists of infrared gratings consists of 10 to 100 grooves per mm, and they are made up of quartz or sodium chloride or potassium bromide. The sample container or the sample cells, different sampling techniques are employed depending upon the nature of the sample, whether it is a solid or a liquid or a gas. Then coming to the detectors, detectors are of two types, thermal detectors and quantum detectors. Detectors convert the thermal energy, radiant energy, into electrical energy. Thermal detectors are most commonly used. Thermal detectors are thermocouples, thermopiles, bolometers, pneumatic detectors and pyro detectors. Quantum detectors are solid state photodetectors and photoconductive cells. There is a difference between a thermal detector and a quantum detector. Thermal detectors responsibility is with little dependence on wavelength, whereas quantum detectors responsibility is dependent on wavelength. These operate at room temperatures, whereas quantum detectors cooling is normally required, and thermal detectors, they have slow response and low detectivity. Quantum detectors have high response and fast response and high detectivity. We have several types of detectors are used. The detectors used in infrared spectrophotometers are the thermocouples and bolometers and Gauss cells. So the infrared spectrophotometer, its working is when a beam of infrared light source produced from the light source, when it is passed through the interferometer, it gets then split into two separate beams. One is passed through the sample and another one is passed through the reference chamber. The beams are both reflected back towards a detector. However, first they pass through a chopper which quickly alternates which of the two beams enters the detector and which converts a change in the incoming infrared light to electrical energy. This electrical energy is detected by a proper detector. The electrical energy, light and a thermal energy is converted into electrical energy. The two signals are then compared and a printout is obtained. This two beam setup gives accurate spectra even if the intensity of the light source drifts over time. Different molecules with different combination of atoms produce their unique spectra and hence are used in qualitative identification of the substances. Then coming to the applications where infrared spectrophotometers are used, they are used to determine the impurities present in raw materials. They are used to determine the unknown contaminants in the industry, for analyzing alcohols, drugs, paints and fibers, for identifying odor and taste components of the food, for determining atmospheric pollutants from atmosphere, and biomedical studies of human hair to identify diseases state. So these are the application areas where infrared spectrophotometers are used. So with this, I would like to end my